So I saw this on the Mother of All talk shows. Scott Ritter was on, and he had some really insight into what's happening with Israel Palestine. And so here's his insight about how this happened, and then we're going to show you how he thinks it's going to end. Right. So here we go.
100% correct. I mean, this is a conflict that cannot end until one side or the other has been decisively beaten and is willing to make the kind of compromises that they're not willing to make now. And frankly speaking, given the level of suffering that the Palestinian people have undergone over the past 7 decades, they're not likely to be the side that breaks first. Israel is a fundamentally broken nation morally. It's a nation that, regardless of what you think, I know some people take umbrage at this, but I happen to be somebody who believes that Israel has the right to exist, and that we should respect Israel's right to exist, but not in the way that it exists today. You can't exist on the backs of people that you've enslaved, and they have enslaved the Palestinians. In fact, it's worse than slavery, because slaves at least get to have the pretense of working in the fields, pretending for a moment maybe they're free. The Palestinians, especially those in Gaza, are stuck in this open-air prison, not of their own construct. Israel underwent a fundamental change in its demographics and politics in the 1990s when they opened the doors to the former Soviet Union, and hundreds of thousands of Soviet Jews fled to Israel, altering the balance. So when I was in Israel in the 1990s, there was a struggle between right and left, but both agreed that there was a necessity for peace. However imperfect their political solutions might have been, I know for a fact that Yitzhak Rabin was looking for a peaceful outcome, looking for a settlement before he was assassinated by a right-wing Israeli. And now Benjamin Netanyahu has stepped into the gap, and ever since then, Israel has been drifting towards an even more radical right-wing solution. As long as Benjamin Netanyahu and his ilk are in power in Israel, there is no hope for peace, none whatsoever. And you are right. Israel will go into Gaza with a vengeance, and hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinians will lose their lives. And in the end, some morally conscious nation, and I say that with the greatest
hesitation.
I don't believe it. There's no such thing as a morally conscious nation that keeps their tongue silent now. But some nation, the United States perhaps, will say enough is enough. Even we can't stomach the slaughter that you have perpetrated, and it's time to bring this fighting to a halt. And the cycle will begin all over again until the next time. Now, the only hope for this outcome not to go that way is if Hezbollah gets involved in a major way and breaks the paradigm. And if Hezbollah is backed by Syria, and Syria is backed by Iran, and then we will see the strategic defeat of Israel. We may see the end of Benjamin Netanyahu physically or politically, and whatever replaces him in Israel will be somebody who is compelled by this defeat to seek peace in a way that's equitable for the Palestinian people. But until which time Israel is strategically defeated, there's no hope for peace, none whatsoever, because Israel, as it currently exists, can't have peace. Because peace requires them to treat the Palestinian people with respect, with dignity. And Israel today is incapable of treating the Palestinian people with the respect and dignity, not only that they deserve, but that they demand. What happened yesterday, as violent and ugly as it was a manifestation of the demand that the Palestinians be treated seriously, with respect. I, like everybody else, I think shudders at the death and destruction that took place. I wish it had never happened. But you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind, and Israel is reaping the whirlwind right now as we speak. It's tragic, but tragically it's necessary.
So what he's saying is that if Hezbollah gets involved more, and then they have the backing of Syria and Iran, that they could actually defeat Israel. And then that would lead to a real peace settlement. That would be so. Netanyahu doesn't want peace. And what people forget also is that before this attack by Hamas, there were, I'm being told, hundreds of thousands of people protesting Netanyahu in the streets of Israel. Did you know that, Kurt? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
That was the story. He has like 3, this might save him from jail if he pulls off this one.
So this
also, he said they funded Hamas.
So we're going to get to that video in a second. Yeah, they actually funded Hamas.
You know, all that stuff he said, before we even get to that, he made Hamas and said it. Openly,
yes.
We're
Ron
doing
Paul
this.
talked about this on the floor of Congress, how they started Hamas and they funded it to push back against the PLO.
It's not a conspiracy. He said this is our plan.
Yeah. So there's this thing called the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. They're secular,
yes,
and they're moderate. And so in order to divide the Palestinian people, Israel and the United States helped invent Hamas, which they knew was going to be religious and radical and more prone to violence. So that would they hoped that would split the Palestinians. It's divide and conquer. They do it all the time.
Up until very recently,
just
they
like
hoped that.
Yes, up until very recently, and they would actually fund them. We're going to show you that, and so. That's what this is all about. Again, they don't really want a solution. They want to keep the Palestinians fighting amongst each other, but now it's not working. So he said that we're not going to have a solution until after Israel. I'm going to tell you that Israel is not going to be defeated because the United States will. They're sending 2 aircraft carriers right now on their way. One is already there, and another one's on its way to Israel So they're not going to allow, the United States will not allow, military industrial complex will not allow Israel to lose. So I guess there'll never be a solution. Let's see what this next video is from Scott Ritter.
Israel has been a fundamentally broken state in terms of domestic politics for some time now, ever since Bibi Netanyahu returned as prime minister. His corruption followed him, his attempt to shield himself from prosecution by taking over the court system so that he and he alone can appoint judges that are favorable to his position, has divided this nation, the nation of Israel, like never before.
So Israel's actually divided right now. So of course, a big attack from your enemy brings everybody to rally around you, just like people rallied around George Bush, who was super hated, didn't even win that election, super hated, but then we got attacked, and everybody loved George Bush then. And so the same kind of scenario seems to be playing out in Israel. It seems like
I thought a bunch of people, because those major
I'm saying that it seems like this is what they were trying to do. So
Right.
my theory is that there's no way the Israeli intelligence didn't know this was coming. So Netanyahu kind of allowed this to happen because this would be the only thing that would save him and give him a shield from the protesters that want him out and want his head. So now he thought that this would help rally the country around him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's happening. Is that what you're saying? It's not happening?
I don't know if it's happening in Israel, but it's happening in the United
No,
States.
the United States, where
They have
nobody
their
knows
mask off
anything.
moment now.
Yeah, what's the mask off? Everyone here doesn't know shit about anything. That
Yeah.
we know
Well,
that now.
the conservative populist right that we thought we
Okay.
were building a little
In
coalition
Israel, though,
with.
if you look at it in Israel, being that Netanyahu, I know we're going to cover it, but very recently, 2019 said we got to fund Hamas.
In 2019, he said
And
that.
George W. Bush, I don't remember him going. I know they did fund Al Qaeda, but they didn't go, "Hey, this is the best plan to fund Al Qaeda." Sure, we made Rambo 3, but other than that, there ain't nothing like that. And in Israel, I'm sure a bunch of people took notice of that, especially if I had my kids kidnapped from a rave.
Right?
I might hold. I might. Okay, right now we're mad, but I didn't forget that Netanyahu said this was the plan.
So let's hear what the rest of Scott Ritter has to say.
To the Hamas attack, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets on a regular basis to protest Benjamin Netanyahu. Thousands of Israeli reservists, the very reservists are being called up now, said they will not serve an Israel that has a Bibi Netanyahu who violates the basic fundamentals of law.
So there is a split in the country, and I think that Netanyahu was hoping this would help paper over that split and have everyone come join him. Okay, here we go.
So Israel was a divided nation. The military also, I believe, has just taken a unique stance regarding modern warfare. Look, there are many Russians right now who have learned the hard lessons of war over the course of the past 600 plus days in Ukraine, who are looking at the imagery of the Israeli military response, saying these are the most amateurish people we have ever seen in our lives. Their tactics, their approach, the timid nature of these soldiers is shocking. I think the Israeli army has lost the ability to close with and destroy the enemy through firepower and maneuver. They are so casualty averse that they've created a whole unit based upon unique technologies to let robots do the fighting for them.
Yeah.
They let computers do the thinking for them. The last thing they want to do is put one of their soldiers on the ground against somebody who's trained and capable of killing them. Very good at beating up women, beating up children, beating up villagers, beating up old men, old women, but they're not very good at fighting people who stand up and fight back. And let's be clear here, the Hamas people who are fighting right now, these are lightly armed people with their courage cannot be doubted, but their skill set is limited. These are people who have not had the advantages of the military training and technology that the Israelis had, and yet they're fighting them still today, as we speak, outside of the Gaza Strip, in Israeli territory. They hold 30% of the territory that they captured on day one, and they are fighting. The Israelis can't beat them yet. They will be, there's no doubt about that. But Israel has forgot how to fight. They have forgot, because Yom Kippur in 1973 was so bloody for them. Their experience in Lebanon was so bloody for them that they said, never again, we won't do that kind of fighting. Unfortunately, when you raise the level of hatred in a captive population, such as the Palestinians in Gaza, and those people decide to rise up, you are going to have to fight. There's a lot of incompetence going on in Israel right now. There's a tremendous amount of military incompetence. The people I feel sorry for, to be honest, I'm just being frank here, are the Israelis who lived in the South. Not because of, there's a political question of should they be there, et cetera, et cetera. But these are people who believe the Israeli government when the Israeli government said, we will keep you safe. You can go to sleep at night. You will be safe. We will be there for you. If anything happens to you, we will come for you. And they were abandoned by their government, abandoned by their military. They're still abandoned to this day. Shame on the Israeli government. Shame on the Israeli military. There should be mass resignations, but this is all done because the men and women who wear the uniform today, who didn't come to the rescue of these Israelis in their time of need, should be evicted from their positions.
So that's again, that a lot of information I didn't know. I didn't have. That is really unbelievable. I didn't know that there's a split in the military. There's a lot of people in the military who don't want to serve because of Netanyahu and all the garbage that they're doing. I didn't know that they had turned over their military intelligence and stuff over to AI, basically,
Yeah, that's-
and to robots.
We talked
And
about
It turns out a lot of stuff's a scam that you thought. Well, I kind of think that, I always think of him with that cartoon bomb drawing
Yes,
in Congress. And I'm like,
Remember
that
that?
guy's back. That's really something. And I'm like, his stupid plan that he outright said they're trying to do with their crazy ass Taliban party. I think they really thought they had a great. Nobody cares. They had the Abraham Accords, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to sell things Saudi Arabia. Nobody even cares about these people that we walled up.
Ignored them.
And I think it got real cocky with the
I think
technology
so.
because they do have very nice technology. And I guess it wasn't that good yet.
Yeah.
Hey, come see us doing the live shows. We're going to be in Dallas, Houston, San Diego, Bloomington, Illinois, Indianapolis, Levittown, New York, Red Bank, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Covina, California, Burbank, California, and Oxnard, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you at a live show.